Inside the SousVide Supreme, the advanced PID technology takes over. It heats the water to a precisely controlled temperature to within 1 degree, and then cooks the chicken perfectly from the inside out. Normally, when you cook with traditional methods, much of the flavor is going up in smoke or being lost through the grill. This is because of the higher temperatures you're cooking at and the length of time you're exposing the food. But by cooking in the food-grade pouch inside the SousVide Supreme, all of the natural flavors and nutrition become super concentrated and are locked back into the food itself.
So after about 30 minutes, our SousVide Supreme chicken is done and tasty right out of the pouch. But just to compare apples to apples, I've actually just seared this piece of chicken so I can compare it to a piece of chicken that's been cooked very traditionally. So there's our SousVide Supreme chicken breast. And here's a chicken breast that we cooked very traditionally in a pan and just in an oven, probably how you do at home right now. And you can even see the difference just visually by looking at the size. I can tell all the flavor is in there, the juice. Look at how big that chicken is. These were the same chicken breasts that went into the pouch. All right, and now we're going to slice into them and really see what the results are and what the difference is when you start cooking with a SousVide Supreme. All right, and we're going to cut into our SousVide Supreme chicken. And you can really see, even as I'm just starting to cut into this chicken, you can really see how juicy it is. And how opaque and how white the chicken breast is. And you can really tell by looking at the flesh how accurately and precise the SousVide Supreme cooked this piece of chicken, which is really hard with chicken. Chicken's one of the hardest things to cook. And by cooking it very precisely at a low temperature, it enables us to cook it perfectly every time. There's our SousVide Supreme chicken. So now let's cut into the other chicken that's been cooked very traditionally. All right, and I can feel the difference on my knife. And you really can kind of see right there what most people do when they cook chicken at home very traditionally is they end up with stringy, overcooked chicken. I mean, look at that. It's ligneous, it's stringy. You can feel how dry it is. I mean, you can really even see inside of the slice as well where that happens. By cooking it in such an aggressive temperature in an oven, a traditional oven, that's what happens. By cooking it in a water oven in the SousVide Supreme, it enables us to keep all of the juices and the flavor and the nutrients inside of the chicken breast. And you can really see there, when I pull this chicken out, it's ligneous and dry, really, really dry. And over here with the SousVide Supreme chicken, you can really see all of that moisture, all of that juice. I can almost squeeze all of the juice out of it. So there's a great difference in how you can cook perfectly with a SousVide Supreme chicken breast versus traditional chicken breast.
You know, we pulled it out of the SousVide Supreme. I put it out on the plate. We looked at each other, said, okay, here we go. And then when we cut into it, we saw the juice. We saw how great it looked. But still the test was it had to hit our lips. And so once it did, we just looked at each other and said, chicken? It was chicken, but it was chicken unlike we had ever tasted before. It was that good.
But hey, maybe you're a meat lover. You crave that delicious taste only ribs can deliver. Ribs that literally fall off the bone. All you do is simply take your favorite barbecue spice and then take your ribs and put them in this vacuum-sealed pouch. Set your SousVide Supreme for the right temperature. Put your ribs in the SousVide Supreme and let the SousVide Supreme do all of the work.
Inside the SousVide Supreme, the ribs are cooked perfectly because we're cooking at a gentle, precise temperature of 142 degrees. Ribs are traditionally cooked at a very high and intense 300 to 400 degrees. This is why they're easy to burn and overcook, meaning a significant loss in flavor and tenderness. But by cooking in the food-grade pouch inside the SousVide Supreme, all of the delicious juices and flavors get reinfused back into the ribs.
Now, I want you to try this. Look at that.
So this is one of my favorites. This is
dig in.
slow-cooked barbecue beef short ribs.
I'll wait.
I'm going to wait. I want to hear what you say. What? Whoa. Okay.
Now, I do ribs all the time. These are really good. I mean, how did you do this? What's the secret?
Well, I mean, traditionally, ribs are cooked. They're either smoked for a really, really long time or they're braised, but really they dry out. You know, so all of that flavor, all of the juice sort of escapes if you're grilling or smoking into the air or drips into the grill. In this case, we're kind of cooking it all in its own juices so it stays nice and moist and tender for the whole time it's cooking.
Introducing the SousVide Supreme, the world's finest water oven, specifically designed for the home cook. The SousVide Supreme has been making headlines across the country. The New York Times states, once you sous vide, you will never go back. The Chicago Tribune raved, impressive, succulent, and delicious. This incredible cooking technique has been used by 5-star chefs around the world for decades and is now finally available to the home cook. With the Sous Vide Supreme, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is always ready when you want it because it's doing the work for you, giving you the freedom to do something else. The Sous Vide Supreme is incredibly easy to use and gives you the power to feed your family delicious, nutritious meals, all at the simple push of a button. You can buy in bulk and plan meals days in advance, saving you time and money. Best of all, it's almost impossible to overcook your food in the Sous Vide Supreme, so you're always guaranteed perfect results every time you cook. Every Sous Vide Supreme unit is meticulously hand-calibrated, guaranteeing the highest quality and precision. The secret is the advanced PID technology that allows the 11 liters of water to be precisely controlled to within 1 degree Fahrenheit. Once your food is cooked, it can remain perfectly held in the Sous Vide Supreme for hours, giving you the power to decide when you're ready to eat. No other cooking technique can offer such an incredible benefit. With the Sous Vide Supreme launch in North America, we're making it easy for you to get the Sous Vide Supreme in your kitchen. Call or go online now and get the Sous Vide Supreme for a first payment as low as just $29.99. When you order, you'll also receive the Sous Vide Supreme insulated counter pad, as well as a selection of delicious sous vide spices and gourmet seasonings. Plus, you'll receive a step-by-step how-to DVD, so you will be making your own sous vide meals straight out of the box.
Vegetables are very delicate. To really get their full nutritional value and health benefit, they need to be cooked gently at a very precise temperature, 183 degrees to be exact. You can't do that on a regular stove. I mean, most stoves just say high, medium, or low, right? So you have no way to determine or manage the actual temperature of the water, the steam, or the stove itself. But with the Sous Vide Supreme, you can set and maintain the temperature to within 1 degree. This means you can guarantee the outcome of how you want your vegetables cooked. Now, everybody knows that fresh vegetables are good for you, but here's what's not. I've just finished cooking broccoli how you probably do at home, boiling them on a stovetop. And I'm going to strain them into our glass here. And again, that probably looks pretty familiar to you. You can see the broccoli's kind of dulled in its color a little bit. And what's perhaps most important is you can see this liquid that, that was water. Now it's kind of yellowish and green. And not only is that a lot of the broccoli flavor, but it's also all of the nutrients that are right here. And when you're cooking vegetables with the Sous Vide Supreme, all of that flavor and all of those nutrients stay inside of the bag. So what we've done here is very simply, we've taken our broccoli, seasoned it with salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil, placed them in our pouch, and then we're going to set our temperature for the Sous Vide Supreme. We're going to set it for 183 degrees. Press start, and then we're going to simply just take our pouch full of broccoli, put our lid on our Sous Vide Supreme, and it's that easy. And now the Sous Vide Supreme does the work for you.
Inside the Sous Vide Supreme, the broccoli is being cooked to perfection because we're cooking at a precise temperature of 183 degrees. Typically, most people cook vegetables in a pan of boiling water or steamed over a pot. With these cooking techniques, the temperature is very high, and all the nutritional value and goodness is literally cooked out of the broccoli. By cooking in the food-grade pouch inside the Sous Vide Supreme, all the broccoli's natural nutrients and goodness are reabsorbed back into the vegetable itself.
All right, so now we've cooked our broccoli in the Sous Vide Supreme. And even inside of the bag, you can really see the difference. None of the juices are in the Sous Vide Supreme. All of the flavor and all of the nutrients are inside of the pouch. And I'm just going to simply cut open our vacuum pouch. And lay our beautiful green vegetables, not gray vegetables, right out on our plate. And you can really see the difference. Look how vibrant and green, and look how healthy these vegetables look. And again, let's go back to the vegetables that we cooked on the stovetop. And seeing is really believing here. Look at the vibrant. The Sous Vide Supreme is exceptional, not just with vegetables, but anything you want to eat. Steaks, chicken, ribs, everything with that restaurant quality flavor. Lamb with real texture, never dried and overcooked. Even things you don't associate with the term sous vide, like creme brulee, brandied pears, and brownies, absolutely delicious. But wait till you see what it can do for this. Fish. The Sous Vide Supreme makes salmon simply divine. And since the fish is locked inside one of these vac-sealed pouches, it doesn't let that fishy smell get all over your house. Look at how vibrant and tender this piece of fish is compared to the discolored, dried out piece cooked in the conventional oven. And you can really see, as I'm about to cut into the Sous Vide Supreme salmon, you can really see the beautiful texture of it as it just kind of flakes off of the fork. And it really keeps the texture, the moisture, all of the flavor and the nutrients inside of this piece of fish. And here you can really see the piece of salmon that was cooked traditionally or conventionally on the stove or in your oven. You know, you can see how, look at all the stringiness of it. It's overcooked, and you can see all of this white stuff, and that's albumin. It's all of the protein cooking out of the fish because it's been cooked at a harsh, aggressive temperature. And when we're cooking with the Sous Vide Supreme, we're cooking at such a gentle, precise temperature that we get this beautiful texture, and you can really see, too, the difference in the moisture. The Sous Vide Supreme salmon, really moist, really delicious. It's beautiful, it's vibrant, and the piece of fish that's been cooked very conventionally is dried, it's stringy, it's tough. It's just an obvious difference. Do you like incredible steak? Well, I'm going to show you how to make a perfect steak that will not only be as good as anything you would order in a top restaurant, but also at a fraction of a cost. It's going to have even doneness all the way through, edge to edge, and juices you won't believe. Watch. I've simply just taken this very inexpensive cut of meat and put it in our vacuum pouch with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then what I'm going to do is set the Sous Vide Supreme for the temperature that I like to eat my steak. I like my steak at medium rare. So I'm going to set the temperature for 134 degrees. I'm going to put my steak in the Sous Vide Supreme. Put the top on.
Inside the Sous Vide Supreme, the steak can be cooked perfectly to whatever doneness you desire. This is because we're cooking at a precise temperature to within 1 degree. Steak is traditionally cooked at a very hot 300 to 400 degrees. This is why they're easy to burn and overcook. The juices and flavor get lost in this process, and the doneness is never consistent. Cooking in the food-grade pouches inside the Sous Vide Supreme, all the delicious juices and flavors get reinfused back into the steak itself. No other cooking technique can guarantee perfect edge-to-edge doneness like the Sous Vide Supreme.
So after about 40 minutes, I've taken our sous vide steak and then just put it in a pan to give it a little bit of brown color. And then I'm ready to slice it. And you can really see as I'm slicing this meat, the edge-to-edge doneness. It's rosy and pink all the way throughout the meat. All right, so that's our Sous Vide Supreme steak. And now I'm going to grab one that we've cooked traditionally, and you're really going to see the difference. And I'll slice our traditional steak. And there's a perfect example. You can really see that it starts out, it's crusty on top, it's gray, it's unevenly cooked. Because quite honestly, cooking in a pan or cooking on a grill is really hard. It's difficult. But cooking with the Sous Vide Supreme is easy, and you get perfect results every single time. No meal is done without dessert. Let's make Sous Vide Supreme brownies. Yes, of course you can bake in the Sous Vide Supreme, and the results are spectacular. All we're going to do is very simply take our brownie mixture and pour it into this dessert dish. And how easy is that? And then we have our brownie mixture right here. And then what we're going to do is you can see in the Sous Vide Supreme, we've only filled it with just a little bit of water, just enough to kind of come up the side of the ramekin. We already have our Sous Vide Supreme set to the correct temperature, and 30 minutes later, we're going to have brownies. How simple is that? And we're simply just going to pop our brownie out, and there's a Sous Vide Supreme brownie. So let's go back to our tasting party with my friend Dr. Mary Dan Eads and see what happened when we made these delicious little treats. So here we have some fudge brownies.
Oh, man.
Right? And it's the same premise. We're just with the controlled water bath, and the Sous Vide Supreme regulates the temperature. We can bake cakes in there, brownies.
And it's cooked evenly, and it's still moist.
Yes.
Right.
That's the Sous Vide Supreme.
I might have to eat this by myself.